So I have my main scene set up here with a spatial as the root node and a directional light. Start out by adding a mesh instance and attach a script to it. ArrayMesh are created in GDScript using an array of data, which I'm going to refer to as the mesh data. Every element in this array is a pool array or it's null, and there are 9 in total. Each contains a different category of data and is held at a specific index in the mesh data array. I'm going to cover vertex, normal, UV, and index in this video. The only pool array that is absolutely necessary is the vertex array. The normal, color, and UV arrays must be the same size or null. The tangents, bones, and weights arrays must be 4 times the size of the vertex array. The index can be any size, but the integers it contains must be within the bounds of the vertex array. This array doesn't need to be typed out like this. You can create an empty array, resize it, and then set the pool arrays you wish to use. There's an enumerator in the array mesh for this. Let's create a triangle using only the vertex array. First, create a pool vector 3 array with 3 vector 3s for each corner of the triangle, and assign that to the vertex element of the mesh data array. Assign a new array mesh to the mesh property of the mesh instance, and then call add surface from arrays on the mesh with primitive triangles as the first parameter and mesh data as the second. Add tool at the top so this will run in the editor, and then close and reopen the scene to run the ready function. And here's our triangle. The side that is visible to the camera is the side with vertices in a clockwise order. Let's add a 4th vertice so we have the 4 corners of a square in the vertex array. This will not make any visible changes to our mesh because a new polygon is only created every 3 vertices. To draw a square, we can add another 2 vertices to complete the other triangle, and the mesh will have 2 vertices at each of these 2 points in space. Or we can use an index array. This is an array of indices pointing to positions in the vertex array. The array mesh will draw a polygon for every 3 indices, using the vertices that these indices point to. Whether you use an index array or not will depend on whether or not you want adjacent faces to share data like UVs or normals. Speaking of normals, the lighting on this is a little wonky. Normals tell light how to interact with the mesh. A normal is a directional vector and one exists at each vertex. That vertex will be part of a face, and the normal should be pointing in the direction that that face is facing. If the vertex is part of multiple faces facing different directions, then its normal should be the average of those directions. This face is pointing along the z-axis in the negative direction, so the normal vector will be 0, 0, -1. And we'll add one for each vertex. UVs are vector 2s with x and y values ranging from 0 to 1. They point to locations on a texture. An x value of 0 is the left edge of the image, and a y value of 0 is the top edge. Values of 1 point to the opposite edges. There is 1 UV at each vertex. The first vertex of our square is at the bottom right. So the first UV will be 1, 1. The second vertex is at the bottom left, so it will be 0, 1. And so on. Now click on the mesh in the Mesh Instance Inspector, go down to Surface, and then drag a texture onto the material property. You can see our texture is nicely fitted onto our square. So those are pretty much the basics of the array mesh. And thanks for watching.